want to take this opportunity and welcome you into another edition of Successful Living. We're here at the Greenville campus. We thank all of you for joining us. We are trying to resolve some of our technical difficulties. So this evening we're coming to you from our iPad. Got a couple things of house cleaning we want to do. I want you to know and be aware of this coming Sunday will be Q&A with Dr. Nancy McPhee Fleming on healthy living. So if you have a question, we've already submitted some to the doc so she can address those on Sunday. And then for Sunday, we have Dr. Reginald Campbell, Knowledge is Power. So those are the two things that we have coming up. Want you to chime in and participate. Want to take a moment to show our condolences for the young rapper, and I don't want to mess up the name. His name is what now?
Young Dolph.
Young Dolph. I don't want nobody outside marching because I didn't say his name right. He was 36 years old. He was shot and killed today. I believe he was a Memphis rapper at the young age of 36. So our prayers and condolences go out to his family and to his loved ones because regardless of what, we're still human. Life still matters. And so our prayers and thoughts go out to him and his family and to all those that have been affected. We've been dealing with a series of the winter series, Purpose Over People. And so we began accepting, understanding my own reality. And to understand purpose over people, you first must understand purpose over me. Purpose over myself. So I have a little reading for us this evening that we're going to discuss and do a couple things. We've kind of been dealing with the old me, and this kind of reflects that. A couple questions from the audience and from those that are part of the virtual campus. Welcome in Greenwood to our virtual campus and also to our global partners. Our scriptorial base will come from Proverbs 11:1, Psalm 67 and stanza 6, Romans 12:1-2, 2 Corinthians 5:7. Part of this comes out of Isaiah, the 55th chapter, verses 8-9. Now, where we're going to look at trying to understand our past and the things that hinder us from moving forward, that's going to come out of 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8, out of the Message Bible. We kind of got here because I asked a question some time ago. If you can address everything in your life through your feelings and emotions, then it's not truly the vehicle of change. That is the vehicle of knee-jerk reaction and impulse thinking. If you and I really want to change our lives and the position of our lives going into 2022, we cannot use the same mechanism, the same tools, the same toolbox, the same resources that we have used for decades and years. So what I want to do is address a couple things, share a couple things. We're going to take a couple questions. And one of them is, many times what I see and feel tells me not to believe. These are some things that I want to share with you as an audience and as the House of Reconciliation and to our virtual campus. This is when there's a couple things I want you to add to your new toolbox. Mm-hmm. And that is to believe that God is faithful. And that doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come out of a box of Cheerios. You have to tell yourself, I have to believe that God is faithful. I also have to have two things: trust and truth. And this is when we get into the point where I talked about creating a balance sheet. And so we're going to read this little article. And one thing that I talk about intellect, intelligence, and all of that, I want you to go ahead and write the scripture down. 2 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, verses 5-6 in the NIV. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 5 and 6 in the NIV. And so when I saw this article, 2 Corinthians 9 and 8 in the Message, we want to read it and discuss it a little bit. Will you read it, please?
Yes, sir. God can pour on the blessings in astonishing ways
So you're ready for anything and everything.
Now, I want you to get this. There is no shortage of blessings that God does not want to pour on us. Now, if you look at 2 Corinthians 3, 5, and 6, and I'm just cross-pollinating this, you only can understand them if you're competent. Because these blessings are not coming off so much to your flesh as they're coming to your spirit as a seed that is supposed to be developed in your life. You cannot develop these without a level of competency. And so if you read 2 Corinthians 9 and 8 in the Message Bible, it will give you that. But come on, it says in your sense of what?
And your sense of well-being comes from any source other than God.
Now let's say that. If your sense of well-being. See, God doesn't put a person, this is why Purpose Over People, and I know we don't have the slide up, but it's a person that is lit up in a crowd of people in darkness. See, when God lights you up, the things that they're doing and the places that they're going is not the direction that God will have you doing. So it says, if your sense of well-being, when you are walking with God, there are many days that you feel like you're by yourself. But God says that I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you. God is leading you to a path where he can have communion with you so he can impartate things into your spirit, not your sight. See, when you're with the crowd, you see everything. You feel like, oh, this is where I need to be, whether it's good, bad, bully crowd, whatever, work, whatever. Well, I don't fit in or nobody's talking to me. It doesn't matter. If that is the place that God has assigned you, I want you to start feeling competent and comfortable. God placed Daniel in the lion's den. God placed 3 Hebrew boys into a country that was a foreign country to them. Do not be dismayed when you're not always in a place where people or things are going to go your way. It does not mean that you're in the wrong place. So it says, if your sense of well-being come from what?
Any source other than God.
If God gave you the job, don't worry about the imps in the room. If God gave you the house and you can afford it, don't worry about the frowns that come from your neighbors. If God gave you that title and that position and you were able to scale up and get a better education, don't live beneath what God has blessed you to have. The reason Purpose Over People is the fact that you understand the difference between God leading you and hanging out with the crowd. So come on.
If your sense of well-being comes from any source other than God.
Other than God. They don't like me. Who cares? You're there to get your paycheck and finish your assignment. Well, they picking them. Who cares? Well, I'm the only one in physics. Who cares? If God put you there, don't allow people to make you feel insecure. Come on.
Including yourself.
Including who?
Yourself.
Oh, you look like $1 million, but you lack confidence. And confidence to me is a lack of knowing who you are in God. I'll say it again. Confidence to me is a lack of knowing who you are in God. God said all flesh is as grass. So tell me who's better than you. If God allows you to breathe like everybody else breathes, then why do you put yourself beneath people and say stuff like, well, I don't want to upset nobody. I don't want nobody to be disturbed. Be you. Listen, being you will always upset somebody.
Amen.
Yeah, being competent will always, because some people literally don't think you're supposed to be there. And when they get you to thinking that you're not supposed to be there, that's when God has a problem with you. Come on, let's start this. If your sense of what?
well-being.
See, God takes you out of your familiar. A chicken can't fly to where a hawk can fly. And a hawk cannot fly to where an owl can fly. And an owl cannot fly to where an eagle can fly. Quit trying to breathe the air of chickens. Quit downgrading yourself to fit in. God made you to stand out. Come on.
If your sense of
Include, yep, come on, well-being.
comes from any source other
Any
than God,
other source, you need to circle that. If God allows you to wake up and you got a desk and you got a job or you got a position or you are running a machine or whatever it is that you do, that's your assignment for now. It doesn't mean that God's not going to change it, but you don't let people make you feel uncomfortable in a place that God has assigned you. Daniel wasn't uncomfortable. He told the king, y'all do what y'all want to do. Just give me bread and water. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said, y'all do what y'all want to do. That's the crowd. But we ain't them. Now that's real country. We ain't them. And so you got to quit trying to be them and be who God has called you to be. If your sense of well-being comes from any other source, quit trying to make other people make you feel good about yourself. Quit trying to get other people approval. I hope they like me. I don't care. I know he's asleep, but I believe my grandson got that kind of attitude. He don't care if you like him or don't like it. He don't care if it's your space, his space, somebody else's space. If he think it's space he's supposed to be in, he gonna be in that space. I know where he got that from. He's not shy, he's not bashful. But I can understand it now. As a grandfather and understanding that spirit, I got to groom him. Because I believe he'll walk up to a group that's, you know, they wear that stuff. he'll start right there talking to them and ask for one. Y'all can figure it out. You're on your own. He's colorblind to the fact of who he should and who he should not associate with. So if your sense of well-being comes from any other source other than who?
God.
Circle that, including yourself. Guess what?
Chances are you will always struggle with insecurity.
So now who's responsible for your insecurity? You. Come on.
That's why Paul wrote, God can pour on the blessings in astonishing ways, so you're ready for anything and everything.
If you are prepared for God, if God has prepared you, let me give you this, then no weapon formed against you. Yeah, gotta let this. Yeah. There's no mountain too high. You don't need to sing no song, swing down, sweet cherry. You don't need no cherry. Put your cleats on and ride that and climb that mountain. Come on, that's why Paul wrote.
God can pour on the blessings in astonishing ways, so you're ready for anything and everything.
Are you ready? Come on.
More than ready to do what needs to be done.
More than ready.
Another translation puts it this way. God is able to bless you abundantly.
Spiritually and naturally, come on.
So that in all things, at all times.
In all things, at all times. This is where you have to quit relying on your emotions and the feelings and knee-jerk reaction. Stop letting things and people ruin your day. They're trying to put the needle in you. Because, and the reason it's so difficult, because you're so used to responding to everything in your feelings and emotion, you don't see the spiritual warfare going on. You don't see the pruning of the ground, so then God can put seeds in you that you can put in the ground, that now your children will see you in a place that they've never seen anybody else. Your fathers will see you in a place that they never could be. Your mothers can see you in a place that they never could be. But you're sitting there worried about your comfortability and how comfortable you are in an unfamiliar place. If you're going to be successful, you're going to have to accept. You're going to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, but don't fear any evil. For God says, for I am what? With thee. Come on. God is able.
God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need.
You got everything you need. One of the best messages that I ever preached when I was preaching hard was the most underused weapon. The power of prayer. The most underused weapon is when you take that 30 seconds and pray to God and ask God to change the atmosphere in the room, and for God to bound the mouths of the lions, and for the snakes that are sitting in the corner that you don't even know they're there, but the grace and the mercy and the anointing of God can choke a snake in a corner that you'll never see. See, you're trying to see every enemy in your eyes. You need to see enemies that hate the seed that God has given you. And so you have to walk in your life with a level of authority and not succumb to the wishes and the desires of men. That's how I live. People are like, well, they don't like, who cares? If God gave me this breath, honey, bad, good breath, no breath, I'm going to breathe. Because sometimes you got to realize people are not attacking you. They're attacking the gift and the anointing that God has put in you. You are a trailblazer. You are a pioneer. You are walking in the place that your mama can walk. You're walking in the place that your grandmother can walk. And God has anointed you for this moment. And you cannot succumb to people who don't have your type of anointing. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Yes, young man. I told people, I said, I had to get my teeth fixed back in 2004. I said, I'm going to television. Look how many years it's been. I'm not good at math. 2004, 2021, how many years?
17.
17 years later, here I'm going. Because I know what God put in me. I know what my great-grandfather could not accomplish. I know what segregation and racism caused my great-great-grandfather, where I owe him, the Reverend Lud Boozer, a debt of gratification. And I owe Dr. Sally L. Campbell a debt of gratification. I owe Alonzo Campbell Jr. Sr. because he said, Sal, he got what nobody else has. And when God has anointed you, you don't bow your head to other people. You may have tears in your eyes, but honey, that ain't nothing but an emotional moment. You stick in there and you stay in there and you fight because God has anointed you and assigned you for that moment. You don't try to make friends with your enemies. Ask me why. God said your enemy will be your footstool. Because as you go up, your foot has to have somewhere to step. Come on, let's read.
God is able to bless you abundantly.
So I'm not here for you. I'm here because God has given me purpose over people. I'm here because God has given me purpose over me. Over my fear, over my ability to be a poor speller, over the ability to not look like the people that I'm going to lead. That's why purpose over people and purpose over me matter. Come on.
God is able to bless you abundantly.
So quit looking for other people to pat you on. You doing such a good job. We like you. Sometimes that's the person who put the knife in your back. Because you're looking for any other resource other than a spiritual guidance. This is when you need to have spiritual insight and spiritual foresight. And let me give you an advantage. Ask God to assign you a war angel. You don't need an angel with flowers. You need a war angel. It's in Daniel. When Daniel was praying and realized he couldn't get his prayer through, it was the prince of Persia. It was darkness and wickedness in high places. And so Daniel prayed and asked God to send an angel. And I think, who did God send? Michael? Yes. I think God sent Michael or somebody, and he came down and warred with the prince of Persia for 3 days. Because Daniel knew if he prayed, he should at least heard something from God. If you haven't heard from God, more than likely you got a prince of the air blocking your prayers. Look it up. I might be wrong. I know it's in Daniel, but I think it may be Daniel around the 10th chapter. So come on, let's read.
God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times.
What did it say? All
things
at
what? All times.
So when is there ever a time that you should have a security in God? Come on.
Having all that you need.
What?
Having all that you need.
Having what?
All that you need.
Why are you always talking to other people? And they don't like me. I think they're trying to get me. Honey, they can't fight your spiritual warfare. You got to tell God, I need an angel. And I need an angel with a sword, because I got some people that need to get cut in this room. I don't care if you cut the fingers off, cut the lips off, cut the head of the snake, you ain't got to worry about the body. Come on.
You will abound in every good work.
You will what?
Abound in every good work.
Because people don't want you to get in your seat in God. Some people have an issue with where you sit in God. You think they don't like you. It ain't about you. They don't want nobody in that seat. If they can't have it, they don't want nobody else to have it. Come on.
As long as you're trusting in yourself.
Downfall. Come on.
Or others.
Creating a balance sheet. As long as you are trusting who?
In yourself.
Short-sighted, emotional, retaliation, hatred, bitterness, and others. Come on.
You will struggle with uncertainty and self-doubt.
You will what?
Struggle with uncertainty and self-doubt.
So that means you're worried. Just say, hey. They say something about me. Yeah. They talk about me. I'm on what they say about me. Yeah. They don't like me. Illusion. Imagination. Hallucination. And hypothetical thinking. I don't care what they think. Focus on your assignment. Can I help you out? God has to get you there because you are the gatekeeper. You're going to open the door for others to be able to come through. Come on.
But once you start trusting in God.
So you got a choice. Remember I said last evening, sitting on a sinking, stinking ship. Can you swim? The question tonight, do you really want to get it right? If you do, you must be willing to jump ship. You must be willing to stay the course. You can't quit because you don't feel good. You can't stop because somebody don't like you. You can't quit because it get hard. That's all a part of the process. Those are the ingredients to let you know you're in the right place. Ask me, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
that you're going to have to trust God and hold your peace. Come on. As long as you're trusting who?
In God.
Uh-huh.
What he can do in you.
What he can do what?
In you.
Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem. Jesus, you supposed to go do everything while I sit back here in God's ship. Jesus is not sock'em rock'em robot where you put your little hands in and you punch him. And you want Jesus to go fight. You want Jesus, then somebody get their chin popped, then the head pop up. Yeah. It says, for once you start what?
Trusting in God.
Come on.
What he can do in you.
You need to circle that. What he can do
in you. With you.
In you, with you.
Through you.
Through you. In you, with you, through you. In you, with you, through you. This is why it's critical for the believer to repent. In you, with you, through you. And guess what? And for you. Come on.
And for you, you begin to feel differently about yourself.
Nothing changed. Nothing changed, Flair. But I feel different. Peter in prison singing a song. Shackles still on his feet. Enemy still at the door. But when his spirit connected to God, he just could feel the atmosphere change. See, if the atmosphere is not changing, the situation is not changing, but the atmosphere has to change for the situation to change, and it starts, and it has to do it in you, with you, through you, and for you. Then you will begin to feel different because you know that your power resource isn't limited to you. Come on.
Insecurity destroys your self-esteem.
See, this is why I said this last night. People have a problem. They want to fix everything. And this is, we're not going to go there this evening. But pain, let me go ahead and give you, pain is an addiction because pain always feel like it's owed. The reason people cannot live in their future is because they're still having nightmares of their past. And because they haven't repented, and the reason they haven't repented is because they lost. And they're still trying to get even in their past. So then they don't feel like they need to repent. You have to repent because you participated in your own demise. You may not have brought the attack, but you allowed the attack to hang on to you in your spirit. It's like a hook. So it hangs on to you and it stays in your memory bank. And every time your present day comes along and say, hey, God can do this for you, your past has a hook in you. And so your past tell you somebody owe you. Your past is still hung up on really a one-sentence line in your life. You are a failure. You pitiful. You will never be nothing. You made a bad mistake. That's the hook. And so people feel like, why should I repent when I was the victim? It's because you participated. You had no resources in God. Can I make it plain? You had no equity in God. God's not going to continue to bless you and you keep making a mess. Come on, Psalms 51. David had to realize that he participated in the mess. And he had to go to God and ask for forgiveness for his participation when he thought he had done no wrong. Come on. Come on, somebody shout purpose over people.
Purpose over people.
Purpose over me.
Purpose over me.
Come on.
Insecurity.
Insecurity. Oh, I'm not insecure. Yes, you are. Can I make it plain? Because you're always worried about everything going around you and ain't worried about nothing going in you. You're always worried about everything going on around you. But ain't nothing going on in you. And the Bible says he can do it in you, with you, through you, for you. Insecurity does what?
Destroys your self-esteem by making you feel unqualified and undeserving.
That's what sin will do. That's what being out of place with God to do. That's what happens when you try to fix yourself. That's exactly what Adam and Eve did in the Garden of Eden. They tried to make, now hold on, let me make this real plain. They were naked from day one.
Mm-hmm.
They were naked from day one. What happened was, when they ate from the tree of good and evil, they were still naked. But do you know what happened? Their eyes were open to their own imperfection. They had the power in their hands to go to God and say, hey God, we've made a mistake. But instead, they blamed each other. Come on. Insecurity does what?
Destroys your self-esteem by making you feel unqualified and undeserving. And here's the worst part. Often it means you can't be taught.
The ears are closed. Oftentimes, it means you what?
Can't be taught.
All right.
Can't accept honest criticism.
Can't be taught. Now, I need to turn you up on this one because somebody would say I was talking about them. Come on. Let's go back over to the beginning. You mic up a little bit. The insecurities
destroys your self-esteem by making you feel unqualified and undeserving. And here's the worst part. Often it means you can't be taught, can't accept honest criticism.
Because when somebody tries to tell you something, they always get this one response: your feelings and your emotions and a knee-jerk reaction. And here's the thing about criticism. If it's constructive, you should embrace it. We should embrace it. Because it takes us and it opens the door for us to be at another level. It closes the gap on insecurity. But if you are unwilling, because of being insecure, destroys what?
Your self-esteem by making you feel unqualified and undeserving. And here's the worst part. Often it means you can't be taught, can't accept honest criticism, and therefore you can't grow.
So who handicaps who? Purpose over me has to get to a point where I can deal with honest, constructive criticism. This is why I'm giving you this now, because coming is addicted to pain. And the question that was asked a couple weeks ago about, well, what happened to faking it till you make it? 30% of Americans during the pandemic, which is now over 100,000 people, have overdosed because there's a new potent drug out on the market. 78,000 in 2019 and over 100,000 in 2020. 30+% increase of people overdosing because they can't deal with their own reality. This is why, brothers and sisters, virtual campus, Greenwood campus, Greenville campus, it's important. God has given us aids. God has given us scripture. God has given us a spiritual prescription to be able to deal with the reality and the downfalls and the down pits we have in life. We can no longer just run away in our imagination and false narrative. We can no longer just hide in hypothetical thinking. We can no longer just hallucinate. You and I must get real and get before God, because He is the giver of life. And God has not given you or I permission to take our own life. And when we can't listen, therefore we can't grow. And this is why I said, do you really want to get it right? You must be willing to jump the ship that's sinking and stinking. Come on and read.
Insecurity destroys your self-esteem by making you feel unqualified and undeserving. And here's the worst part. Often it means you can't be taught, can't accept honest criticism, and therefore you can't grow. The thing you need most, good input, becomes the last thing you're willing to accept because you're afraid to let anyone know you're less than perfect.
Let's read that again.
Insecurity destroys your self-esteem by making you feel unqualified and undeserving. And here's the worst part. Often it means you can't be taught, can't accept honest criticism, and therefore you can't grow. The thing you need most, good input, becomes the last thing you're willing to accept because you're afraid to let anyone know you're less than perfect.
Come on.
Consequently, you find it hard to confront challenges and seize the opportunities that come your way.
Come on.
Deep down, you feel incompetent, unaccepted, disapproved of, and rejected. In short, insecurity is an inside job.
Insecurity is a what?
Inside job.
Remember, I said this some time ago. You cannot make a person feel secure. You will lose your mind. Nothing physical. There's no diamond. There's no house. There's no flowers. There's no car. There's no cologne. There's no name brand tennis shoe that can replace the inward parts of humanity. To shore up, we got to shore up in God. It starts with good input. Becomes the last thing you're willing to accept. This is one of the things, because right now we're in so much pain with so much road rage and so much insecurity and so much flex and work and schedules and bills and responsibility, that the easiest thing to do is not trust God. The easiest thing to do is not look in the mirror. The easiest thing to do is to lay blame. And God says, if you can't be honest, if you're not willing to jump ship, if you're not willing to swim, then consequently you find it hard for the blessings that I want to give to you. You find it hard to see yourself successful. You find it hard to see yourself committed to something bigger than you. You find it hard to seize an opportunity because we see everything through broken glass. Deep down, it's not a person, it's you. And a person really can't appreciate you until you begin to appreciate you. And appreciating you is not about a title, not about a house, not about a job, not about an individual in your life. It's about having peace within that starts with God. This is why so many people are stretching themselves and finding harder drugs to do, because they are addicted to pain, because pain will bring you back to reality. And when you don't want to deal with reality, you will find an excuse to do something to numb the pain. Deep down inside, it says you feel incompetent, unaccepted, disapproved, or even rejected. In short, insecurity is an inside job. Can you come on, let's finish this?
With that in mind, take an honest look at your life right now. Go ahead, it's safe. No one else is looking. The only person who will benefit from this is you. Then turn to God and say, Lord, everything I need to succeed in life, I have in you.
Now, for those that are watching, if you want a copy of this, this is not my writing. It's the writing that I got from United Broadcasters. I think they're out of the UK. And I thought it would be good to share with you this evening. And in the conclusion of this, as we come and we'll talk about this more in depth, is smart enough to be there, but not disciplined enough to go there, and not focused enough to get there, and not competent enough to stay there. For that to happen in my life, in your life, we're going to have to drop the load. We're going to have to get into an unfamiliar place and seek God. And it starts with repentance. Repentance is the right turn in your life and in my life to the virtual campus, to the Greenwood campus, and to our global partners. Because here's the challenge in all that we've read this evening, and you're more than welcome to get a copy of it. Hit us up on social media. We'll make sure that we post it some type of way that you can have it. Here's what's happening with most people. It's that they're struggling to live with the real person that they are. And here's the challenge. It's okay to have weaknesses, but it's not okay to not to do anything about it. Identify your weakness. There is a natural side and there is a spiritual side. Matthew 11:29 as we close. Repentance is the right thing to do. But pain makes us feel like we're owed, we're due, and the blame is always on somebody else. I encourage you, find your way to join us this coming Sunday morning. We will be here at 1427 Suite E, Launch Road at 8:30 a.m. in praise and worship, and around 9:50 we'll begin the word. Come be a part of our broadcast. If you're in Greenwood, 210 Pansy Road, Hodges, South Carolina, we'll be there at 10:45. Let's get together. Because where there's unity, there is strength. God bless you. I'll see you soon.